If you're looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at carolinaprepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products such as our can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American made. Check us out today at carolinaprepper.com.
Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
And welcome, everybody. I hope you are well today. This is Susan Knowles, and this is Knowles on the news. Glad, as I said, that you could join us. Wow. So, how tired are you? Are you worn down yet? Because the left wants you to get really, really worn down. So worn down that after a while, you're just like, whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. So because they're doing whatever they want, and they're hoping that you're not going to notice, that you're just going to say, you know what, if you want to take down the Confederate flags, the Confederate statues, if you want to move the car down the street, whatever, go ahead and do it. And I'll tell you how we got to this place. I don't know if you were watching yesterday when President Trump came out and he was at the press briefing, a little gathering for infrastructure. Infrastructure. Remember some of those things that we used to find important, and we would talk about those things because they were so important. And now we only talk about what the left wants us to talk about because that's important to them. And so therefore it should be important to all of us. It's not, but they keep wanting it to be, and they keep ingratiating themselves into everything that we do. But anyway, I digress. So back to what President Trump yesterday at the after the infrastructure meeting wants to take a a couple of questions from the audience. Hey, what do you want to know about infrastructure? I'm here to answer your questions. Mr. President, I want to know why it took you so long to come out and talk about Charlottesville. I mean, all these people on the mainstream media, they came with one thing in mind. Their only agenda. I mean, you could hear the bosses now saying, okay, now, when you go in there, all I want you to do is ask him about Charlottesville. And I want you to be one of the loudest people asking the questions. So you make sure that he sees you. I'm talking to you, CNN. I make sure that they know it's CNN because we're doing such a bang-up job. We're like the greatest news organization in the world. So we want you, Jim Acosta, we want you, Jake Tapper, whoever, get out there and just ask him. So why did it take you so long about Charlottesville? And just keep asking him stupid questions over and over. And they are stupid questions. It's getting to the point it's ridiculous. We've lost our common sense. And it's exactly what the left has wanted to do. I'm sure they're very, very happy now that we're on, we're trying to, to keep afloat on their narratives. So we get this question, why'd you wait so long? He goes, I didn't. He didn't. How many times does he have to say, I didn't? And he tried to explain, again, there's a problem. He's being rational. He's using reason. And the mainstream media is not. So it's kind of hard to have a conversation when you're not on the same level. And I don't mean that in an egotistical, one is more educated than the other. I'm talking commonsensical. You can't have a conversation when one person's irrational and you're using reason and common sense. It doesn't happen. But he tried. He goes, I didn't wait long. I wanted to know the facts. Well, you wanted to know the facts. Well, you know what? Condemned. We're not going to allow you to do that here. We want you to come out. We want you to be our little puppet on a string, do what we want you to do. And then we're still not going to be happy, but don't tell anybody that. But we're going to act like this is all we wanted you to do, and then everything would be fine. When everybody knows that's not the truth. So what did he do yesterday? Oh, he committed the ultimate sin. Because, see, the day before, he had come out and he'd said, I condemn white supremacists, KKK, neo-Nazis. Okay, that's all they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear the word white supremacist. And then they could gear up for whatever was coming next that they wanted to talk down about President Trump about and blame him for, bash him for, whatever. So they heard white supremacists the day before. But yesterday, President Trump, as I said, committed the ultimate sin because he went out there and he said, you know what? There were a lot of people there that were breaking the law. There were a lot of people there who were being violent. Saw a lot of people carrying clubs, hitting people, whatever. And they weren't all white supremacists. Uh-oh. And now you've done it. And what did the left do? Oh, he's taken back what he said about the white supremacists. He's disavowed now. He's gone on and said other people were troublemakers. No, only the white supremacists are bad, remember? So that's what you had yesterday. People coming out and acting foolish again with the Saul Alinsky playbook in one hand and the question about Charlottesville in the other. What they tried to do yesterday was change the narrative again and change the language. Oh, no, he took back what he said about white supremacists because he just now said that there were other groups that were involved. Okay, there you go. Again, common sense and reason. They don't want you to use that. And it was very apparent for anybody who saw the video of the day in Charlottesville and what happened in that park. And you could see that there were people who were coming there who were obviously there to commit violence. But let's not talk about that. Let's not talk, because there was a guy there who the left has deemed a white supremacist, an alt-right, whatever name that they want to use, whatever is good for today, they'll use that. And that's what they did. And we find out more and more about this guy. Now, a lot of this, I'm hearing it with different websites. I can't verify it yet. But the rumors are that the guy who asked for the permit and received a lawful and legal permit to go there and talk about how his feelings and other feelings were about people who did not want Confederate monuments removed. And he has a right to do that. You may not like what he's talking about, but he has the right to do that. So this guy, Jason Kessler, I believe is his name, now we're finding out that he may not be who he says he is. That, in fact, he may be an Obama supporter. And has been one for a long time, and was in the Occupy type movements that Obama, under Obama, when that were going on. So he's on the left, I guess is my what I'm trying to say. But what we're finding out is that back in January, like the January 2017, is when he decided, oh, I'm going to open up something else. I'm going to have like this alt-right thing, and I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to be alt-right, or whatever you want to call him. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he was paid. I don't know if any or all of that, how much is true. But it's very suspicious. Very suspicious. But it doesn't take away from the fact that those people in the park had every right to be there. And again, you may not like what they were talking about, but that's what the First Amendment is all about, protecting speech that you don't like. And apparently, in the videos people have seen, they weren't there with clubs and this and that and the other. And here comes these people that we're now finding out that they were probably bussed in, the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, whatever group that whatever name you want to give yourself, that all of these people come into the park. And as the president said, many had clubs, many were violent, and they proceeded to attack the people that were legally assembling there. But nobody wants to hear that. The left does not want to hear that. It's okay. See, the left has this idea that it's okay to commit a crime as long as you have a reason for doing so, right? You can do anything you want because you feel that you don't like it. Or it's talking about your heritage, your culture, whatever. And so if you want to, I don't know, hit somebody, assemble unlawfully, if you want to pepper spray somebody, whatever. If you want to take down a monument because you don't like it, well, you're on the left, you don't like it, so take it down. It's perfectly okay, perfectly legal, right? No. No, it's not perfectly legal. It's not okay. And I think the left is starting to have to learn that, to them, a harsh lesson. Because, they've been under Obama where there was a lot of lawlessness for 8 years. People were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do, and it was okay. They didn't have consequences for it. And now they're starting to have consequences. In fact, the young lady who tore down the monument in Durham, North Carolina, I think she's a college student, she was arrested. About time. About time. Okay, here we go. Why did it take you so long? You arrested her the next day. I just wanted to try to pretend to be CNN for a moment and ask a stupid question. But they arrested her, and I think she was I forget. Oh, here's what she said. And this was when she was, during the whole thing yesterday, she was speaking in front of her college before they arrested her. And she said, "I did the right thing." And she said this during a Workers' World Party press conference. What is that? Workers' World Party press conference. Oh, yeah, that's right. Communist. And that's what the majority of people that you are seeing on the left, they're communists. And why would communists be Antifa or Black Lives Matter or Code Pink? Why is that? Well, not too hard to figure out. Because, as I've said before, they don't like your way of life, America. They don't like the fact that you believe in family, that you believe in your faith, and that you have a First Amendment, a Second Amendment right, and all these other rights that are protected under the Constitution. You believe, a lot of Christians believe, one man, one woman is a marriage, and a family comes from that. They don't like that. They don't like your Christian beliefs. So if you think this has to do with Confederate monuments, you're sadly mistaken. This is about you. This is about your way of life. This isn't even about Donald Trump. It's about all the things that those people on the left, mostly communists, hate about who you are and who America is. And they're trying to destroy it piece by piece. And sometimes, they're doing a good job of doing that, especially under Obama. But, the cat's out of the bag. You see, we have a president who's not just calling out one side. He's not inviting Black Lives Matter to the White House anymore, like Obama did. Obama, I don't know, maybe Antifa, would they have been next to come to the White House? I don't know. But I don't see President Trump inviting them to the White House. But here's what I do see. And I talked about that this morning on my morning show. What I see is, remember when we used to hear about white privilege all the time? We heard Black Lives Matter. We don't hear that so much anymore. Now, why is that? Because nobody's saying you can't say those things. Nobody is, forbidding you from talking and coming out with that. Okay, so why is it that we aren't hearing this? Well, there's a very good reason for that. You see, it's now 2.0. We've upped our game on the left side. We went from white privilege, and my opinion, I think that's now been replaced with talk about white supremacy. And why was it so important for Donald Trump to utter the words white supremacy and say nothing else, blame no one else? Why was that so important to the left? Because it's the same as Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. If he said white supremacy, in effect, he would be saying, having the same effect as saying Black Lives Matter. But when he added other groups, when he called out all the wrongdoers, that was like saying all lives matter. And that's not politically correct for the left. They don't want you to say that because to them it isn't about all lives matter. It's about their cause. And you see what we have now on the left, their cause is white supremacy. As they say, getting rid of white supremacy. And again, it has nothing to do with the Confederate monuments. It's about heritage. It's about history. It's about, white privilege. It's about whatever made-up cause they need to make up. Now, is there white supremacy? Yes. Is there Antifa? Yes, there is. How about Black Lives Matter? Yes, there is. And there are other groups as well. But you see, you're only allowed to talk about certain groups that fit the narrative of and the agenda of the left. Otherwise, you're supposed to sit there and do what you're told. Or, wait for your payment to come from George Soros, whatever the case may be. And as somebody is saying in the chat room, they want Donald Trump to join in on their psychosis, but actually, no, he will not matter what he said, and it doesn't matter what he says or does. It doesn't. Because there isn't anything he could say or do that would matter. Nothing would matter. This is all a game. This is all a game, and most of the people, conservatives, know that. So they continue to say what they say. They continue to do, their agenda and try to make us believe that Donald Trump, oh my gosh, he doesn't understand. He doesn't know what it's like to be us, And when they know darn well, they don't care. They don't care about the Confederacy. The Confederacy, the monuments mattered not all of this time up until now. And they may say, oh, but it did matter. We just didn't do anything about it. No, that's not true. What you did was you went out and said, what can I use now? What excuse can I come up with? What game can we play now? That's exactly what they did. They said, oh, I know. Let's just pick these monuments. Because it started way back when, with after the shooting in Charleston with Nikki Haley taking down the Confederate flags and things. It started there, and they went, whoa, you know what? Great idea. We'll jump on the bandwagon. Took a little while, but it started there because they just found something new to use. And that's who the left is. And now, what do we have now? Well, yesterday, part of the speech, Donald Trump was saying, where does it all end? What monuments? Where does it end? How about George Washington? He had slaves. Do we take down every monument now to George Washington? Some people in my show this morning said, do we change the name of Washington, D.C.? Don't give them any ideas. That's coming. But then he said, what about Thomas Jefferson? What about Theodore Roosevelt? What about, naming all these names. And of course, right after, you have Evan McMullen. Remember Evan? Everybody who didn't like Trump, they just, they wanted to go over there. They wanted to just join in with Evan because Evan just seemed like this great guy. Evan was just this wonderful guy that you could pin your hopes on because he just loved America. Well, I wasn't one of those people. I'll have to be honest with you. I suspected this guy all along for being who he is. And that's another show. And go read my articles at SusanKnowles.com if you want to see what I wrote. But Evan, Evan was connected to the UN. And that was my red flag. And I knew about that because I went and did my research. I wanted to find out who Evan was, and I found out probably a little bit more than most people. So Evan was never on my list of people to vote for. But Evan had to come out yesterday with others on the left and start making fun immediately of Donald Trump. Oh, he mentioned Washington in the same breath with, the Theodore Roosevelt or somebody else who was in the Confederacy. Well, see, he was trying to make a point, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if he's trying to make a point because they're going to turn it into what they want it turned into. But Donald Trump is right. I think they mentioned Robert E. Lee. I don't know who they mentioned because here's what I know. It doesn't matter who they talked about. And here's the point why. And here's the way for you to know that it doesn't matter. If it was Robert E. Lee, if it was Theodore Roosevelt, whomever. And Theodore Roosevelt, of course, as you know, and you and I know, he was a child during the time, so he wasn't a part of the Confederate Army. But to make Donald Trump's point, and this came out in the Daily Caller, and Ben Shapiro wrote this article. You see, the day before, they removed the statue of Theodore Roosevelt, and I forget what city. I think it was New York. It was a monument to Theodore Roosevelt. Now, I'm thinking, okay, how does Theodore Roosevelt? How is he connected to the Confederacy? I searched high and low, and you know what? He was still a child. So it doesn't matter. And you're talking about people who don't know history. They probably don't even know that about Theodore Roosevelt. All they saw was, oh, look, there's a statue of an old white guy. He's probably a white supremacist. Let's take that statue down. And that's what they wanted to do. So my question is, when is the statute of Iwo Jima? When is that coming down? When are we going to go and say, gosh, you know what? I don't like that Vietnam memorial. I think we should take that down. Or, you know what? I'm not really that fond of Christians. So let's see. I think all the crosses on all those churches should come down. And I know you're saying, well, yeah, but the difference is, one is that you have this on public land, and that's different than having it on private land. Is it really all that different? Do they really care? Will they really care? Because if you allow somebody to have their way and do it by unlawful means, and there's no consequence to it, why stop there? Why not just keep going and get anything and everything that you want? What's the problem? And I think that's what you're going to find. But I also think that you see a president who's getting very sick and tired of seeing the truth that nobody else wants to talk about and having people who really don't want to do anything about it based on the truth that's right before everybody's eyes. And we see now, also CARE is coming out and saying, oh, yes, let's remove those Confederate flags. Wow, and see, why do we have CARE involved? I don't know. Did CARE have something to do with the Confederacy? Were they involved in it? I know they had slaves. They owned slaves that we don't talk about. Is that the connection? I don't know. But we're not. Obama said they were part of America and the roots of America rather than Judeo-Christian roots, which he was wrong about that. But truth doesn't matter, so who cares? But instead of looking at CARE for who they are, the Muslim Islamic organization terrorists that they are, we just go, oh, well, CARE is coming out and helping us. Isn't that great? Oh, yes, it's so great. Thank you, CARE, for being a part of the Confederacy. Unbelievable. I mean, who else is going to jump on the bandwagon? We know who's not jumping on the bandwagon, who's kind of jumping off the bandwagon. Those people like the CEO of Merck, the CEO of Under Armour. The truth got a little bit too real for them, and they're like, whoa, we may have our products. People may not buy our products. We need to get out of here. We don't want to be in politics. We just want your money. So politics, you go on and you do whatever. And it's the same old thing. Oh, well, he didn't say white supremacists. He just put everybody in there in the wrongdoing. Shame on him for telling the truth. So we're out of here. See you later. And then God knows only why that the CEO of Walmart had to get involved. I don't even think he's on the council. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now we see Under Armour out there, and we see Merck out there. That, by the way, pharmaceuticals. We've got. Oh, and let's not forget Trumpka on the AFL-CIO. He wasn't very happy. You remember Trumpka, don't you? He's the guy that spent a lot of time at the White House with President Obama. So, I don't know. Something tells me he's not really a Trump guy anyway. So, Trumpka says, I'm out of here. The AFL-CIO guy. Okay, bye-bye. You weren't really with us in the first place. But again, here comes Walmart. Walmart, we're such great, whoa. I don't know if you've ever sat down for 5 minutes and talked to somebody that worked at Walmart. They don't really like Walmart. They don't like how they're treated. They don't like how they're overworked. They don't like how they're underpaid. So, I don't know, Walmart. Maybe that's one of the reasons that you weren't on the president's council about jobs and such, because you're not a good representation. Do I like shopping and getting some things that I need at Walmart? I did. I don't know about now, but I did. But I think the CEO, Doug McMillon, just had some things that he needed to get off his chest for whatever reason, and just wanted to join in with everybody else. And I don't know, I think it's going to backfire on him. Just like with Evan McMullin, as I was trying to talk about a minute ago, about this independent candidate coming out and laughing at the president and saying, well, he mentioned Robert E. Lee and, Washington in the same breath. He kind of was going along with everybody else. And again, the president was trying to make a point. Where's it going to stop? When is it going to stop? And obviously, as I said, Ben Shapiro in his article just proved the president's point, because they tried to take down the Theodore Roosevelt monument in New York. A Theodore Roosevelt who had absolutely nothing to do with the Confederacy. I mean, your brain just, if you're a reasonable thinking person and you use reason and you're rational, your head's gonna explode. Probably should have some aspirin close by. And then what happened? What happened last night? Under the cover of darkness? Well, Baltimore decided we're going to go ahead and take down the 4 Confederate monuments that we have. We're going to get rid of them. We're not going to have any discussion. We're not going to allow you in the city to vote. We don't care basically, what are they saying? We don't care what you're thinking about. We don't care what your opinion is. We don't care if you want them to stay or not. We, the government, are going to do this for you. We, the government, are going to make a decision for you, and we're going to take them down. And that's what they did. They just took them down. They're gone. And again, where does it end? Somebody told me this morning in the morning show, in the cemetery in L.A., get that, Cemetery, L.A., California, they're removing a monument that they find is offensive. It has something to do with the Confederacy, or not. Does it really matter? Oh, look, there's a Confederate monument. Let's take it down. But that doesn't have anything to do with the Confederacy. Well, we don't really care. We want it down. Okay, we'll take it down. I mean, seriously, it would be funny if it weren't horrible. It would be funny if we're not looking at a situation where we possibly have a governor or a mayor of a city who is giving the police stand-down orders so they can't do their jobs. It would be funny unless, you hear the case about Virginia with the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who's not willing to call out Antifa for allegedly hitting their reporter. There's a guy, you can go look at it, it's online somewhere, a picture of him with 4 staples in the back of his head where he was allegedly hit by something from Antifa. But no, we can't call him out. We can't call Antifa out because, see, they're not white supremacists. We have to wait for something to happen for who we think is a white supremacist, and then we'll call them out. Not until then. So we're not going to tell you the truth. And The Hill had a reporter who claims that she was hit, and I saw part of it. Someone didn't like the fact that she was filming in Charlottesville, so they decided to knock the phone out of her hand, and she says that she was hit as well. Well, I can tell you this, and I know people, on the left have a hard time figuring out again what is a crime and what isn't a crime. If you don't like somebody who's recording, let me give you a little hint that might save you a trip down to the jail and into court when we bring back lawfulness. If somebody's holding a phone and you knock that out of their hands, that's called a battery. Just saying. It's a criminal act, and you're not allowed to do that. You can be arrested for that. You can have charges pressed against you. You can go to jail for that. So I'm just telling you now, because later on when you have another riot that you're at or another protest that you're at, remember that. If you touch somebody who has a stick in their hand, and you try to knock that stick out of their hand, take it away from them, whatever, grab the stick, whatever, that's a battery. That's a crime. Can't do that. Can't do that. Okay. Now that we have that all figured out, there can be no excuses. Like a conversation I had with a young millennial male on Facebook the other day. And I was talking about Durham, and I said, look at what happened in Durham. And he says to me, what happened in Durham? I think it's great. They took down a Confederate flag, a Confederate monument. So what? And I said, no, that's not what happened. They committed a crime. You're not allowed to destroy property. I think it was a shock to him that what I was saying was absolutely true. He couldn't believe the fact that you can't commit a crime just because you feel like it, because you think it's the right thing to do for the situation at the moment. Well, I guess you can learn the lesson the easy way, or you can learn it the hard way. So I'm just helping you out right now. I'm telling you, don't touch people without their permission, and you'll be okay. Don't throw things at people, because that's a crime as well. So I know I can't cover all bases here, but for those millennials that may feel that it's okay to commit a crime, or maybe they're getting paid by Soros so they think it's okay, I'm just telling you, it's not okay to commit a crime. Take that to the bank. So let's talk about what is really happening here. This is a distraction. This is one more attempt by the left. And there are going to be many, many more. There are already more protests that are planned. They have, I've never seen as many groups. I think every communist is coming out of the closet, coming out from underneath the rock, and they're going to go to these events. If you look at the map of where they are, and they're all dotted in blue, wonder why blue and not red, but anyway, they're all dotted in blue, and they cover the United States. I mean, seriously, it's almost in every city and state that you can think of, there's going to be these protest rallies. They have to be stopped because, as we know from what we've seen, there's going to be violence. It's going to escalate like it did in Charlottesville. This isn't about First Amendment rights, assembling peacefully so that you can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. It is about going there to commit violence. Now, why would we do that? Well, we already know from reading the Daily Caller, that article, that Antifa wants to escalate things. Really? Now, why would they do that? Because, see, I thought it was only the white supremacists that were the problems. No, we're finding out that Antifa wants to escalate things. Now, the only thing that comes to my mind about why you'd want to escalate things is because you want to start here and you want to go all around the nation and you want to continue to build on the chaos that you're building on. And then what happens? Oh, I don't know. Like the Black Lives Matter event that I saw over on, I guess it was Sunday in Washington, D.C. The signs that said, "No Trump." Why would they say no Trump? Why would they say no Trump? Because, as you know, if you've heard Maxine Waters and other people, let's impeach. Well, they want to take it a step further. They want to talk about getting him out of there, taking him down. And in fact, if I can find it quickly, I think it was the mayor of Charlottesville who was basically came on TV and was talking about how Donald Trump is agitating those in the government and how that that he's agitating them so badly that they're going to, I think his words were, they're going to kill this guy, they're going to take this guy out, something to that effect, that should not have been uttered out of a mayor's mouth. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm seeing in the reports that he said. Why would you say something like that? And then you have Chelsea Handler, who's talking about, basically, I don't have her direct quote here, but wanting to take the president out. And telling the generals, hey, all you generals around him, the longer it takes for you to take him out, the longer you're going to be associated with him, and your name is going to be a part of history. I mean, seriously. And I'm wondering, has the Secret Service come and paid her a visit? And if not, why not? And the same with the mayor, who's talking about, well, these people are going to, he's agitating the people in government. Why would you go on TV and say that? Why would you do that? And I'm not accusing him of any crime, but I'm just saying, when you're talking like that, who's listening. And as I said, I see these people that are standing there in that Black Lives Matter event, which I doubt very seriously these people had a permit, because most of those people that were in D.C. or Charlottesville or any place else, I don't ever see them with a permit. I certainly don't see those people that are walking out in the middle of the road with a permit, or those that were getting arrested for blocking the road. I don't see them with a permit. But anyway, I digress. These people are just building momentum, and I say these people meaning Antifa and anybody else who's calling for this. To me, it looks like that what they want to do is it's a coup. I don't know what you would call it other than a coup. Put whatever pretty name you want on it, if you got to have some other name, if it makes you feel better, because they want to physically remove this president from office. Now, I say that's my opinion. Antifa may say, well, we didn't want to do that. That's your opinion. And, it's an allegation on my part. But when you're sitting there and you say we want to escalate, I don't know, what would you want to escalate for if not that? It's almost like an overthrow of the government completely to put in a new leader. Whoa, wait a minute. That's what they call a coup. So, again, call it whatever name that you want to put on it, but that's certainly what it seems like to me. And, of course, you won't hear that in mainstream media, because in mainstream media, all is right with the world. And why is all right with the world? Because they seemingly are in charge and want to be more in charge. Now, to them, they're in charge. To us, we know who's in charge. Donald Trump's been doing an amazing job, continues to do an amazing job, and I get it. I get some people don't like him. I get some people on the right don't like him and don't like everything he does, and that's okay. You don't have to worship a president. Nobody said you had to. And nobody's worshiping a president. I mean, I guess there are some people who are. I look at Donald Trump as a man who makes mistakes like the rest of us. But how many of you out there, the people that don't like him, the people that hate him, let's see you take his job for a day. Let's see how well you can do. And then we'll talk. As compared to other presidents, as compared to who we had in the last 8 years, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. He's done more for jobs. He's, as he reiterated yesterday, he's making it a goal and a mission of his to go into the black communities and to help those people. I'm sorry, did Obama ever do that? Did he ever do that? Did you ever hear him say, "Oh, we're going to go in and help the black communities"? I don't know. I don't remember that, and I don't see many black communities that he helped. And that's why so many black people went to the polls, and guess who they voted for? Donald Trump, not Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. So part of what we're seeing is this distraction, is the left wants you to believe that everybody in America feels this way, that all whites are mad at all blacks, and all blacks are mad at all whites. Most people in America know who we are. We know that we're compassionate people on white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. That's who the majority of people are. But we're seeing the ugly. We're seeing the ugly that get out there and fight each other. We're seeing the ugly that, that you can't allow free speech because they just want to turn it into violence. We're seeing the ugly. That's a small portion of America. But the left wants you to believe everybody's doing this. Everybody feels this way. Everybody wants the president removed. So we have to stay focused. We have to stay grounded. And we have to know that the reason this is happening is because the elites are feeling so out of control. Their plan didn't work. They didn't get Hillary Clinton in as president. The leaks in the White House aren't continuing. You notice that? We're not getting everything that we want, but we're getting more and more that we want. We still have people like John McCain who are working for the left. I saw a Gallup poll that came out the other day that says that John McCain is more popular among Democrats than he is among Republicans. There's a reason for that, because John McCain is truly a Democrat in Republican clothing. That's all. So those people are continuing to do what they're doing while we're so distracted out here thinking that the world is going away and burning down and everybody is hating everybody else. They are still doing what they're doing. They're still getting money in their pockets. They're still trying to divert what Donald Trump is trying to do, trying to make America the way that we want it. The way that we've said that what we need, they're trying to interfere with that. They continue to do that every day. The elite wants to maintain control of your environment. Oh, wait, Donald Trump did away with that, didn't he? He got out of the Paris Agreement. There's no more talk about climate change. They hate him for it. Why? Climate change was a big way to control you. Climate change was a big way for the elites to say, oh, you can't do that there because it's so bad for the climate. In California, they even look at the I'll just say it, cow farts, and wonder how badly that is affecting climate change. Come on. I know it's California, but that's what the left wanted to go across the nation. And don't think that's not what the left still wants, and if they get their way, they'll try to get that and get it done. And so also, the elite said, I know what, we'll control the environment, and you won't be able to do what you want to do in the environment. You can't do drilling. You can't have anything else that we need. And Donald Trump said, no, we're going to get rid of some of this stuff of the EPA, and we're going to go back to coal mining. We're going to open up those coal mining places again, and let's get back to business. Let's get money. Let's get capitalism going. Whoa, wait, you said capitalism? An elite said, no way, we're not going to let you have capitalism back, Mr. Trump. Because if we get capitalism back, if the people can see that jobs are coming in, that money's coming in, they have money in their pockets, they can feed their family, and they're not dependent upon government, then what are we going to do? How are we going to be necessary? You can't take away an elite's power and expect them to stand idly by. Because if they do that, there's no way for them to control anybody and anything. They lose money. They lose control over you. They lose control over your health care. They can't tell you when you can live or die. I mean, seriously, they controlled everything. Climate change, your food, what you could eat, the water. How much more did we need for them to control before we figured out that that's what they're doing? And this, again, it's just a distraction. It's not what the underlying issues are. They don't want you to see these underlying issues. They just want you to go back to being dependent upon the government and doing what you're told. And we're that close to losing it, right? We're that close to losing our freedoms. And again, I say, people go, oh, well, Donald Trump's not everything. Why do people worship him so much? And look at him. I hear this all the time. Can I tell you once and for all? Donald Trump is just a symbol of what we, the people, want. Donald Trump was elected because he was saying everything that we, the people, were thinking and just weren't saying. But many of us were saying it. He was bold enough to say, this is what's happening. This is the truth. Just like he's doing now with Charlottesville. He's not giving in to the left and saying, oh, no, it's just white supremacists. Everybody else is so wonderful. No, he's not doing that. He's telling the truth. And he's calling it like it is. And he's continuing to call out CNN fake news. They are fake news. You know why? Because they're a state-run media. And not this administration, the prior administration. It's still alive and well. The deep state is alive and well with these people. They want to continue with the Obama policies and continue doing what Obama set out to do and hopefully what they wanted Hillary to do. And people say, when is this going to stop? It's not going to. It's not going to. And people have figured out on the left, people on the right would say, well, if you get rid of Donald Trump, you're going to have Pence. You're going to have Mike Pence because he's the vice president. He's going to move into his place. And now the calls are for no Trump, no Pence. I've heard that too. It's about getting back control of the country. Don't be fooled by the things that you see, by the distractions, by Nancy Pelosi coming out and talking about, oh my gosh, the president didn't do this. It's what they're doing, and it's never going to stop. It's going to get worse. And when President Trump is no longer in the office as president in 8 years, do you really think that the left is going to go, whoo, okay, that was great, glad everything. Remember what it was like under Obama. Remember your constitutional rights that were fading away. Remember that? Do you know how much worse that would have gotten under Hillary? Do you know what will happen if they get their way and have, amnesty? Let's call it what it is. Amnesty that they want. Why do you think they're holding on to the sanctuary cities so much? Why do you think California now along with Chicago and other places, are suing because they want that federal money in sanctuary cities. Yes, they want the money. They don't care about the people. Don't kid yourself to think that they care about the people in the sanctuary cities. They want the money. And you know what? They don't care if MS-13 is in the sanctuary cities. If MS-13 can get out there and vote or, mail in their vote, that's all they care about. But that's why they're holding on. They want amnesty to go through. And if that happens, you'll never have another Republican president ever. You will have left-leaning all the way until the end of time. And people say, well, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Well, I've told people all along, you vote people out. You get rid of the rhinos. And it's going to be a long, hard job to convince people that people like McCain, that people like Mitch McConnell, people who've been career politicians for most of their lives, that you shouldn't be trusting these people, that you need to get rid of them. People they get complacent. It's like, well, he's been here for so long. He's done an okay job. Could anybody do any better? Yeah, they could. And you got to find those people. Like Paul Nealon, who's trying to take over and get Paul Ryan out. You got to find those people. But you know what you got to do when you find those people? You also have to support them financially. And see, the GOP won't do that because they're not rhinos. The whole system is messed up. The Republicans are just keeping in and bringing in people that they know that will advance their agenda of those who are rhinos in there. And you have a few people who are in there saying, I really love America and I want to do what's right for America. But that's not the majority. And to get a Paul Nealon in, you're going to have to raise a lot of money. And you're going to have to convince people that Paul Ryan is everything that Paul Nealon says he is. And he's not a good guy, Paul Ryan. Not a good guy at all. And I think that, you guys that listen to this show and watch this show, you know that Paul Ryan isn't a good guy. So you got to tell everybody else about what Paul Ryan did. You got to tell everybody else what Paul Nealon says. That Paul Ryan had this town hall meeting, and what does he do? He passes out questions to his employees, for God's sakes. So they can ask him questions, and he doesn't take other questions from the audience. He doesn't want any hard questions. He doesn't want people to ask him, hey, why are you such a failure on health care? Why did you make health care one more socialist health care so that we couldn't get it passed? Why are you secretly, according to Paul Nealon, why are you secretly going to try to take out that money that's earmarked already and been approved for building the wall? Why are you going to, at the last minute, take that out and say, oh, well, I had to do that because the left was going to shut down the government? We got to get those people out. And on the other hand, here's what we have to do too. The Democrats that are in there, we've got to find more Democrats that we can replace with Republicans. We've got to get those people out. We've got to get the Republicans in. And that's going to take a lot of work. We've also, if we can't find people who are, the leftists, as far left as you can go, like Kamala Harris in California, Maxine Waters in California, Nancy Pelosi in California, Terry McAuliffe in Virginia, you need to get those people out. And if you can't get Republicans in, then maybe at least try to get, if they're still living, if they still exist, the Kennedy Democrats, those that are closer to being Republicans. Because if you don't, nothing's going to change. And we're going to have, it's going to get worse. And, I mean, you know how bad it is when the Democrat Party is saying, look, we don't want to support Planned Parenthood, Cecile Richards. We don't want to support anybody that's pro-life in the Democrat Party. If they're not pro-choice, we don't want you. And we're not going to give you money. We're not going to raise money for you. We're not going to support you. We're not going to give you money. Now, I don't know. If that isn't extreme, what is? If that isn't a clue as to tell you where things are going, what is? And even some of the Democrat Party, they know how far left they've gone. They've seen their money dwindle. And some are saying, oh, but you know what? I don't know. I think we shouldn't have a litmus test. If they're Democrats, it's okay. And you know, it hasn't been that long ago since we had the like the Reagan Democrats, Kennedy Democrats, whatever you want to call them. We need to support those people. Jerry Brown, that's Jerry Brown, the governor of California, is saying that. That should tell you how bad things are. You know, when you've got the people that are so far left in the Democrat Party saying, woo, you know, maybe we should reel it back in a little bit and put it back towards the middle, you know that the Democrats know that there's a big issue. They want to win. That's why they're grooming Kamala Harris. That's why they're grooming Eric Holder. They want to take back in control. And if that happens, we'll never have control again. And we have control now in all three branches. And we still can't get it done because you have the rhinos in there who basically they've reached across the aisle one time too many, and they're Democrats. And that's our only, term limits. Let me just say term limits. I can't say that enough. You've got to be able to have term limits to get these people out. To bring this system back to what our forefathers wanted them to be. The system we have now is broken. People are like, oh, okay, well, let's just make another system. We'll call it the American Party. I don't care what you call it. The American Patriot Party. The Balloon Party. I don't care what you call it. If you have a system that's broken, if you're not following the Constitution, if you don't have things in place to get these long-term career lobbyist loving rhinos and Democrats out, then the system is going to be corrupt again. Your balloon party is gonna burst, but for the same reasons. You know, when you add people in, when you add people into the mix, and you keep them in for long periods of time, and you offer them money, and you corrupt them, and again, personal responsibility. They allow themselves to be corrupted. You're going to get these same problems. So again, as all of this distraction goes on, we have to be aware of why we're having all this distraction. Because, how do I say this? The left wants this country. The communists want this country. They want to do away with your freedoms, your God, and everything that you hold dear. And I'm not talking about every Democrat. I'm talking about those people who are the elites, those who are the New World Order that are coming. And again, I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorists here, but read Revelation. You kind of know where it's going, and you know how it ends. But we need to pray for this president. We need to pray for our vice president, the entire administration. And we also need to pray for the country and to pray for each other. If you think this is all about politics, you're wrong. This is a battle, and it's also a spiritual battle. And we have to remember that. Anything about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, climate change, this, that, and the other. It's all connected and being used in this spiritual battle and in this political battle for power and control. that's what happens when you have men and women who believe only in themselves and try to find a way how to benefit only themselves and not do it in the best interest of the country, in the best interest of people, and in the best interest of what God wants to do. And that's kind of where we find ourselves right now. So pray for the country, pray for calm. I pray for lawfulness to return to this country in a big, big way and as soon as possible. I thank you, everybody, for being here today for the taping of Knowles on the News. And until we see you again next week, take care. God bless.